Brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear, until it is done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 2020 and the first episode of Series 2 of the Videogame Cemetery. I've been planning this video for weeks in advance to bring you not a game review, but a game theory. The point of this video today is to try and explain to you why I believe that this and this are all connected in one single canon. No reboots, no fresh starts, one continuous story, beginning to end. Now I know this is a very unpopular view. A lot of people like to think Doom 3 is not connected to Doom 1 and 2 whatsoever, and also not connected to Doom 4. And a lot of other people also believe that Doom 4 is a fresh reboot as well. I disagree. On a side note, I also believe that Quake 1 and 2 are directly connected as well, as much as id Software themselves have said they're not. So if the developers of the games themselves can't sway me, I don't think anyone else can either. So without any further ado, let's start with Doom 1 and Doom 2. Doom. Fucking Doom. Without doubt, no debate, the very best of the best when it comes to first-person shooters. It's also one of the very best horror games, and has a style unlike any other. Many games use the Doom engine, such as Heretic, Hexen and Exhumed to name just a few, but only Doom can capture the vibe and feel that Doom creates. It is the best of its kind, and its position as such cannot be challenged. But I'm not here today to review Doom. Maybe another time, but not today. Today is dedicated to me explaining how Doom does in fact have a consistent timeline, starting from Doom 1 all the way up to Doom 4, and Doom Eternal when it comes out. Why do I think this? Well, allow me to take you into my mind so you can see what I can see. We start with Doom 1. This game pretty much just throws you into the action of killing the demons and the possessed military from the start with little briefing. So let's take a look in the booklet of the game to see what it's all about. Right, it says, "You're a soldier, one of Earth's toughest, hardened in combat and trained for action. 3 years ago, you assaulted a superior officer for ordering his soldiers to fire upon civilians. He and his body cast were shipped to Pearl Harbor, while you were transferred to Mars, home of the Union Aerospace Corporation. The UAC is a multi-planetary conglomerate with radioactive waste facilities on Mars and its 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. With no action for 50 million miles, your day consists of sucking dust and watching restricted flicks in the rec room. For the last 4 years, the military, UAC's biggest supplier, has used the remote facilities on Phobos and Deimos to conduct various secret projects, including research on interdimensional space travel. So far, they've been able to open gateways between Phobos and Deimos, throwing a few gadgets in one and watching them come out the other. Recently, however, the gateways have become dangerously unstable. Military volunteers entering them have disappeared or been stricken with a strange form of insanity, babbling vulgarities, bludgeoning anything that breathes, and finally, suffering an untimely death of full-body explosion. Matching heads with the torsos to send home to the folks become a full-time job. Latest military reports state that the research is suffering a small setback, but everything is under control. A few hours ago, Mars received a garbled message from Phobos. "We require immediate military support. Something evil is coming out of the gateways. Computer systems have gone berserk." The rest was incoherent. Soon afterwards, Deimos simply vanished from the sky. Since then, attempts to establish contact with either moon have been unsuccessful. You and your buddies, the only combat troops for 50 million miles, were sent up pronto to Phobos. You were ordered to secure the perimeter of the base while the rest of the team went inside. For several hours, your radio picked up the sounds of combat. Guns firing, men yelling orders, screams, bones cracking, then finally, silence. Seems your buddies are dead. It's up to you. Things aren't looking too good. You'll never navigate off this planet on your own. Plus, all the heavy weapons were taken by the assault team, leaving you with only a pistol. Whatever or whoever killed your buddies deserves a few pellets in the head. If only you could get your hands on a plasma rifle or even a shotgun, you could take a few down on your way out. Securing your helmet, you exit the landing pod. Hopefully, you can find some more substantial firepower somewhere within the station. As you walk through the main entrance of the base, you hear animal-like growls echoing throughout the distant corridors. They know you're here. There's no turning back now. Okay, so your guy, creatively named Doom Guy, is a soldier with strong moral beliefs and was punished for acting on them by being sent to Mars as a prisoner of sorts, where you're forced to work lesser duties, far from Earth. To some extent, sort of like the Twilight Zone episode The Lonely. And, while you're there, everyone gets possessed and killed by demons. It's pretty straightforward and very much to the point. Your objective here is to destroy the invading demons, close the portals to their world, and return home to Earth. Easier said than done. Now, since Doom is presented to us in episodes, originally, upon the shareware release of Episode 1, we were led to believe that Doom Guy was killed by an overwhelming swarm at the end of Episode 1, Mission 8. But with the later chapters being released soon after, we can say that Doom Guy actually didn't die. The true end of Doom 1 is when you fight the Spider Mastermind, a large brain-looking creature in a four-legged mech suit that has a chain gun. Basically a giant Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when Doom Guy returns home, he discovers that the demons have somehow managed to invade Earth as well. They've also killed his pet rabbit Daisy, which, quite frankly, just isn't on. This leads us directly into the events of Doom 2, Hell on Earth. This game is a 100% direct sequel, so the story pretty much speaks for itself, and I won't spend too much time going over it. But to summarise, the demons made it to Earth after the events of Doom 1, and upon arriving home, Doom Guy discovers this and goes on a continued killing spree to take them out and destroy their leader, the Icon of Sin. The Icon of Sin is a giant demon that can summon lesser demons, and we will cover this more later when we get to Doom 4. After Doom 2, we have the events of Final Doom, which in fact are an expansion to the Doom 2 game, which is why it gets lumped into the Doom 2 category. These are set in two massive chapters, Plutonia and TNT. After the events of Doom 2, Doom 64 finds its home in the timeline. The manual of the game states this about the story. Your fatigue was enormous, the price of encountering pure evil. Hell was a place no mortal was meant to experience. Stupid military doctors, their tests and treatments were of little help. In the end, what did it matter? It was all classified and sealed. The nightmares continued. Demons, so many demons, relentless, pouring through. Far away, the planetary policy was clear. An absolute quarantine was guaranteed by apocalyptic levels of radiation. The empty dark corridors stand motionless, abandoned. The installations sealed. The present. A long-forgotten relay satellite barely executing, decayed by years of bombarding neutrons, activates and sends its final message to Earth. The satellite's message was horrific. From the planetary void there came energy signatures, unlike anything sampled before. The classified archives are opened. The military episodes codenamed Doom were not actually completed. A single entity with vast rejuvenation powers masked by the extreme radiation levels, escaped detection. In its crippled state, it systematically altered decaying dead carnage back into corrupted living tissue. The mutations are devastating. The demons have returned even stronger and more vicious than before. As the only experienced survivor of the Doom episode, your commission is reactivated. Your assignment is clear. Merciless extermination. So to summarise, the demons may have been defeated in Doom and Doom 2, but a single upper-level demon survived. The Mother Demon. And it brought forward a swarm of evil and hate for revenge. You were the same guy from the previous Dooms, and you have to stop this Mother Demon and her lackeys. And this is important. Doom 64 could be the most important game in this entire timeline, because it gives us an important plot point at the end of the game, which we will be using again later to reveal how these games connect. And what is this plot point? Well, at the end of Doom 64, Doom Guy chooses to stay in hell so he can fight off the demons forever. And, like the Icon of Sin, we will get back to this in further detail later on. Now, after Doom 64, we had a huge gap with no new Doom games for a while, until 2004 when Doom 3 was released. This Doom was heavily focused on survival horror, and basically it was designed to shit you up, which it does really well. But most importantly, it seems to be a remake of Doom 1. A complete fresh start that ignores the events of the previous games as if they didn't exist. But like I said, it seems to be a remake. It's not. It is a continuation from the events of Doom, Doom 2 and Doom 64. And here is how. When you get far enough into the game, you discover a place called Site 3. This place is like an archaeological dig site on Mars, in which the UAC and their workers have been unearthing ancient ruins, tablets and remains of a long-lost Martian civilization. Upon accessing this place, you can listen to a video playing and examine the tablets for yourself. And here, right here, is the evidence that this game, Doom 3, is in fact a direct continuation of the previous games and a precursor to Doom 4. You will notice right away that the first tablet is in fact an Easter egg to the box art from Doom 1, but apart from that, it's also an important plot point. I will now play to you a clip from Doom 3's Site 3, including the video and audio of what it says about the ancient tablets.
Setting new standards in both archaeological discovery and analysis, the UAC is proud to showcase the latest findings on 4 unique and fascinating artifacts. These tablets were originally discovered in the dig site under what has become known as Site 3. Subsequent examination of the surrounding area and carbon dating of the tablets brought UAC researchers to the conclusion that the tablets belonged to a civilization that existed millennia ago and were placed in a holy burial ground of some sort. Utilizing the best minds in linguistics and UAC proprietary pattern recognition software, the tablets were exhaustively examined. What we found was fantastic. The first tablet provided us with a wealth of scientific data, specifically detailing the mathematical concepts behind teleportation. UAC researchers use this information as the cornerstone for building the Delta teleportation devices. The second and third tablets illustrate an epic story, a story of war, and how, faced with impossible odds, the ultimate sacrifice of an entire race to achieve victory. The fourth tablet details how the essence of each individual was captured and placed in the artifact we now refer to as the Soul Cube. This device was wielded by their mightiest warrior, and with it he banished the invading horde forever. Our researchers are still analyzing a recently found hidden section of the fourth stone and some related fragments. It goes into detail on the invading force and indicates the remaining survivors may have teleported somewhere. Where we do not know, although it seems to reference a map we have yet to locate. To date, there remains no evidence of any type of invasion at any of the sites, Our assumption is that time has removed all but what we now see.
So as you can see, these tablets tell the story of the previous Doom games, about the Doom guy and the things that he did. But also, it tells the story of how he will one day return. This also tells us something else. The guy you play as in Doom 3 is not Doom Guy. He's a different soldier entirely. He looks nothing like Doom Guy, and he knows nothing about anything that's going on. This is all new to him. So clearly, if this is a sequel, then he is not the original Doom Guy. But you know who is? The Doom Slayer from Doom 4. Before we get into that though, let's briefly explain Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. The guy you play as in that isn't Doom Guy either. He's yet another random soldier, and so Resurrection of Evil is a sequel to Doom 3 and can easily be overlooked in the timeline, but I want to mention it here regardless. Doom 4 begins with the Doomslayer being discovered sealed inside a sarcophagus in hell by the UAC. From the get-go, you know that this is not the beginning of a story. This is clearly a middle point, and yet people still thought that this was a reboot? This is the original Doom Guy. Let's recap. At the end of Doom 64, he chose to stay in hell to battle the demons forever. But we don't know what happened after that. Going by the beginning of Doom 4, we can safely say that he was most likely proving a problem for the demons, and therefore they trapped him in this stone coffin so he wouldn't be a bother any longer. He was absent during the events of Doom 3, most likely because he was trapped in this sarcophagus all this time. Right at the start, after smashing a few possessed UAC members' heads open, Doom Guy acquires his trademark Doom Guy suit, the Praetor suit. This is pretty important because back in Doom 3, we learned that the Martian civilization that used to exist before teleporting to safety somewhere else in the universe and putting themselves into the Soul Cube were called the Praelianthor. That was their name as a species. So it indicates that the suit is of Martian origin and that the two games are directly connected. Let's also keep in mind some other details about how these games work. Doom was set on Phobos and Deimos, not Mars. Doom 3 was set on Mars. Doom 2 was set on Earth. Doom 4 is set on Mars too, but at a later date than Doom 3. Apart from the Hell levels, they were all set on Mars and its moons, with the exception of Doom 2. This allows the games to all exist as a timeline. Doom happened. Then Doom 2. Doom 3 takes place many years after the events of Doom, Doom 2 and Doom 64 on Mars in a place called Mars City. It's a shithole with poor lighting. The demons invade, though USC are not sure what they are. They believe they may be aliens, and until the end of the game, they were not sure what they were. They became established as demons through an audio log found on a corpse in hell. Doom 4, being set years later, makes us realise that the demons are a common thing now. They have been accepted as such, and now the UAC, being greedy, money-hungry idiots, are using hell to their advantage as an energy source which they call Argent Energy. This is how the games line up, and to further prove my point, I mentioned earlier that the Soul Cube in Doom 3, the most important weapon in the game, held the souls of the Praelianthor, or Martians. In Doom 4, if you get to the part of the game where Olivia's office is, you will see she has discovered the Soul Cube herself, and has it sitting on one of her tables. You could call this merely an Easter egg, but it directly confirms that Doom 3 happened, in this universe. That is a leftover relic from the events of Doom 3, in Doom 4. And you can also say the same about Super Turbo Turkey Puncher too, because that arcade cabinet was in Doom 3 originally, and there's one left over, destroyed and damaged and slung into storage in Doom 4, confirming once again, this is the same universe, and this is a direct sequel to Doom 3. Things are improved in Doom 4 as far as the facility goes, but time has moved forward, so this is to be expected. Another thing worth mentioning here is the company Mixom Tools in Doom 3, and how they return in Doom 4. Another direct tie-in between these two supposedly separate reboots of the game. Now, you'll notice I didn't mention the Doom RPG games. Well, the only reason for that is because I didn't want to overcomplicate things, but these do in fact also connect to the timeline. The Soul Cube is seen in Doom 2 RPG as a usable weapon, and there are many other tie-ins. Wolfenstein RPG even connects, but I won't go into that now. I will mention, however, that Mixom is present in these games too. I don't want to make this video too long, though I could probably go on and on about this in so much more detail. But basically, it's like this. Doom 1, Doom 2 and Doom 64. All Doom guy, and they tell his story in a nice little trilogy. Doom 3 has a different guy encounter the same demons from the previous titles, and stops them after discovering ancient tablets which tell the story of the previous games. And they prophesize that Doom guy will one day return. In the meantime, Doom 3 guy has to do it himself, with the help of the Praelianthor, also known as the Soul Cube, because he has no special powers of his own. Doom 4 brings the Doom guy back out of hell to defeat the demons after the UAC, after the events of Doom 3, decide to use hell as an energy source. And you'll remember that I mentioned earlier that we would go into more detail about the Icon of Sin in Doom 2. Well, in Doom 4, you can see the remains of the Icon of Sin in hell, been there ever since the events of Doom 2, directly connecting Doom 4 to Doom 2. How much more proof do you need? You can even fire a rocket into its head, like in Doom 2, causing it to release a spawn cube, again, like in Doom 2. And there's so much more. If you're a true Doom fan, I implore you to go look into the lore of the games yourself. Play them all. Experience all the nooks and crannies and read up on everything. You'll see for yourself. They all connect. Except for one small detail. How did the UAC in Doom 3 forget what happened in Doom 1 and Doom 2? They are the UAC in every single game, so how did they not remember the events of what happened before? Well, I have two possible theories. Doom 64 tells us that the files regarding the events of Doom 1 and 2 were classified. A cover-up. Perhaps whoever is up there at the top erased the files or tried to hide them. Doom Guy was, after all, a member of the UAC military forces. Doom Guy has special superhuman powers after all, and can live a longer lifespan perhaps than regular soldiers, so maybe enough time has passed, with the cover-up in place, for it to be forgotten. Alternatively, perhaps the UAC are from a parallel universe. This isn't impossible, especially with all the portal technology. Or perhaps humanity is just fated to repeat its mistakes over and over and over until it wipes itself out. Either way, by the time I had this video recorded, because it took me so damn long, Doom Eternal released official artwork of Doomslayer from the new game and what he looks like underneath his helmet. Confirming, in my view, that I was right the entire time. Doomslayer is the Doom guy from the previous games, with the exception of Doom 3. So yeah, as you can see, this is my view on why I believe all the Doom games are connected. Now I know not everyone will agree with me. People will come up with probably other explanations like the Soul Cube in Doom 4 is an Easter egg from Doom 3 players, or how just the reference in Doom 3 to the original box art from Doom 1 on the tablets was probably just an Easter egg reference to the old games. And yeah, I can accept all of those things as possibilities. But, in my view, and it will never be swayed, all these games are one timeline. It might seem obscure, it might seem outrageous to some, but as someone that's played all the Doom games through millions of times, I believe that I've come to a conclusion that makes the most sense to me. I guess we'll only know for certain when Doom 5 comes out, or Doom Eternal as they call it, and then we can confirm was I right or wrong. And something in my head's telling me I'm going to be right on this. Not to be big-headed, I could very well be wrong, but I just feel that I'm going to find something in Doom 5 that's going to confirm what I've said, and my theories. Now, as most people that know me know, I'm a massive, gigantic Doom fan, ever since Doom 1 and 2. Doom 1 was the first game I ever played, obviously. I played it on the PlayStation, not the PC. but the PlayStation is still my favourite version. I've even got this little booklet that came free with one of the magazines back in the day before I had the game, with the Hell Knight and Baron of Hell the wrong way round. And this booklet got me to beg my dad to buy me it for Christmas in '97. Yeah, that's really all I've got to say on this and why I believe that they're connected. If anyone's got any other views or any other ideas or theories or opinions on it, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I really would like to hear your versions of the stories. See if you can sway me. See if you can change my mind. I want to say a huge thank you to all my supporters and those who are just joining me today for the first time possibly, because Doom's a big thing again nowadays. It's really kicking off again lately. I want to say a big thank you to all of my supporters and those who have checked out this video. A big thank you to all the people that have left a comment, who have subscribed, who have liked my videos or shared them. Of course, my extra special shout out to beautiful Scarlett. Thank you, Scarlett, for checking out this video. I know how much you love Doom. Or rather, how much you love hearing me get on your nerves about Doom. Thank you for checking this out. Thank you so much, darling. And I want to say thank you so much for checking out the Video Game Cemetery. Peace out.